Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in England. A team with a rich footballing identity, world-class stadium, and millions of fans across the globe. Yet there's one trophy that continues to slip through their fingers again and again: the UEFA Champions League. Despite decades of talent, iconic players, and legendary managers, Arsenal remain without Europe's biggest crown. So today, we're diving deep into the question: why is it so hard for Arsenal to win the Champions League? Let's break it down. Arsenal's Champions League story has been filled with frustration and heartbreak. Yes, they reached the 2006 Champions League final, but outside of that magical run, the journey has been dominated by round of 16 exits, unlucky draws against Europe's giants, and teams full of potential that never fully clicked on the European stage. Throughout the late Wenger era, Arsenal consistently qualified for the tournament, but rarely felt like a genuine threat to win it. They had consistency in qualifying, but not consistency in competing at the highest level. The UCL requires ruthlessness. It demands squads built not just to play attractive football, but to survive and win under pressure. For many years, Arsenal simply lacked that final level. One of the biggest problems for Arsenal historically has been squad depth. In the Premier League, you can sometimes get away with one or two positions being thin. But in Europe, you need a bench that's almost as strong as your starting 11. When Arsenal came up against the real European powerhouses, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, they were facing teams with two international-level players in every position, experienced Champions League winners, different tactical profiles for different types of matches. Arsenal often relied too heavily on a smaller core group of players. And when injuries inevitably hit, because Arsenal were famous for that, Champions League nights became uphill battles. Winning the Champions League isn't just about skill, it's about mentality. The Champions League is brutal. Away legs in hostile stadiums. High-pressure knockout ties. Decisions that punish even one small mistake. For years, Arsenal were a side known for beautiful football, but also for moments of fragility. They'd dominate a match for 70 minutes, then concede twice in 5 minutes. And at this level, that's all it takes to get knocked out. Compare that to clubs like Real Madrid, Bayern, or even Liverpool during their UCL winning years. These teams had a core group that had been there, done that. Arsenal were often building, rebuilding, or transitioning. Rarely did they have a stable, experienced backbone capable of navigating the dirty, gritty tactical battles required to go all the way. When Arsenal moved to the Emirates Stadium in 2006, the club entered a period of financial restraint. While they were paying off the stadium, Europe saw the rise of the super club era. Barcelona's golden generation, Real Madrid's Galacticos 2.0, Bayern Munich becoming a machine, PSG and Manchester City emerging with near-limitless financial power. Arsenal simply couldn't keep up. During these years, Arsenal were more focused on balancing books, promoting young players, and staying competitive domestically. But the Champions League is a tournament where money matters. It buys depth, experience, and superstars who win games by themselves. Arsenal were competing, bravely, but never on equal footing. Ask any Arsenal fan about the Champions League, and they'll tell you about the draw curse. Round of 16. Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Bayern Munich again. No matter how well Arsenal played in the group stage, they somehow ended up meeting the strongest teams early. And when your squad is thinner, younger, and less experienced, those ties often end the same way. Of course, you have to beat the best to win the Champions League. But Arsenal kept meeting the best far too early. Arsène Wenger transformed Arsenal. His football is iconic, but his approach also came with risks in Europe. Wenger believed in attacking football, technical excellence, and freedom. However, Champions League knockout football is often about tactical discipline, game management, playing ugly when you need to. Killing a match when the opportunity comes, Arsenal sometimes played too openly, too idealistically. And against clinical European sides, that idealism often came back to hurt them. It wasn't a lack of quality. It was a clash of styles with the demands of knockout football. Under Mikel Arteta, things feel different. Arsenal now have a young, energetic, tactically intelligent squad, a clear playing identity, better squad depth, stronger defensive structure, a competitive mentality. Building year after year, Arsenal are no longer just a team trying to survive in Europe. They're becoming a team that believes they belong at the highest level again. Will they finally win the Champions League soon? No one knows. But for the first time in a long time, the foundation looks strong enough to dream. So that's why Arsenal have found it so hard to win the Champions League. A mix of bad timing, financial limitations, squad depth issues, tactical vulnerabilities, and simply coming up against European giants at the wrong moment. But football always evolves. And maybe, just maybe, Arsenal's moment is still waiting ahead. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Can Arsenal win the Champions League in the next few years?